happy Friday or Saturday or whenever you're listening to this. Hope you're having a good day. We're back here again at 2-5 Scoop. I am back after being very unwell. I got the flu last week, so the Sean Bernard was nice enough to fill in. You guys talk some Sixers. How was that episode? I never get the chance to check it out.
Yeah, no, it was a good time. Sean, I mean, just doing the pod with him, and I told him afterwards, there was a couple of times where I was just like, oh, yeah, I think Tyrese Maxey's probably shooting around like these many threes a game. I think it's going to go up. And then he would just spit out like the exact number of his three-point attempts per game just because like he's like that's his job. He's a Sixers beat writer. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could just really tell all those numbers are bouncing around in his brain. He thinks about that stuff a lot. So, it was a lot of fun to do a little
Yeah,
one-on-one Sixers talk
yeah.
with him.
Especially as a data science major, I bet it was like
Yeah.
interesting to find somebody that literally had all these statistics. Like,
Yeah, he's just a numbers encyclopedia for sure. It's
yeah.
when it comes to Sixers numbers.
Pardon me. That's a little bit of what I'm dealing with. Halloween weekend did not do me well. My roommate had like 4 of his friends here from our area, Asher,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah. So Friday night, they all went out to a party nearby. Sorry if you can hear that bus, just ignore it. But Friday night they all went to a party. I went to a party with my girlfriend, and the next morning this kid David, he literally like I slept in my girlfriend's place. I came back here. He was sleeping in my bed. He was
I've had
sleeping in my bed.
I've
So
had that.
I was like, all right. He woke up and he didn't feel well. So I was like, guess
Uh,
I'm not sleeping here for the weekend. So I stayed at my girl's place. But long story short, that was the flu, and it got spread all over here. And I have videos on my phone of what my apartment looked like. Like it was so bad, dude. It was like actually let me pull it up. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see it, but this was my apartment last week. It was disgusting. Like disease everywhere. Disease. Where is it? No, that's not it. That's not it. I'm trying to find it. Oh yeah, here's my room. So you'll see Dave. So there's David. That's my bed. That's David.
uh-huh.
And then that's my buddy Adam. He's
Okay.
sick. He's wearing my shorts.
Wow.
He's wearing my shorts. So yeah, so that's Adam. Anyway, last week was
So,
very fun. I
yeah.
peaked at almost 104. I probably should have gone to the hospital because of the fever, but I just didn't because
Wow.
it broke, I guess. I don't know what happened. I just took a crap ton of ibuprofen and
Didn't get it
Mucinex.
for a while.
Like I took so many pills, it wasn't even funny. Um, I got a little goodie bag from Patient First, a nice little goodie bag.
Nice.
All those kids got Halloween candy. I got drugs. I got
Yeah, even better.
help me fight this flu off. So it was great. I was
Yes,
gonna
it
watch the
was.
World Series, and I even came home and I was gonna tailgate and everything. No, I got to watch the Phillies lose twice at home while I had a fever the entire time. So that was great. So anyway,
Well,
moving on. That was my this past week. Asher, how have you been?
I guess better than you've been. I mean, again, not being a super diehard Phillies fan, like this was really my first time watching the Phillies in depth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think my main takeaway is that I'm more happy with how they performed up to those final 3 games than I am disappointed
Mhm.
in the way that they kinda collapsed at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna beat them up for the last 3 games. I mean, they gave us a great run. They
Mhm.
weren't expected to be there. They were only 88. They were an 87 win team. They were the last team to clinch a postseason berth. So it was miraculous enough that they got to the World Series, and I'm blessed that I was able to see that run and enjoy it. But it just sucks that we didn't get the job done. We were right there. I guess it's a similar feeling. This is a new feeling. I mean, every single championship I've watched, I wasn't able to watch I watched the 2008 World Series. I watched the 2009 World Series, but I was young.
Mhm.
This is my first time like really experiencing like a championship loss. Like this was probably one of the most painful losses I've ever had, even though we weren't even supposed to be there.
Right,
Because it's my first time tasting like getting to the championship and losing. So I got
right.
to watch the Eagles win the Super Bowl in 2017, and that was really the first time me fully being able to experience a championship run.
Yeah, well, even
So,
regardless of kinda what the expectations were going into the playoffs, the focus shifts to each game individually. So for the
yeah.
Eagles, we weren't expected to beat that Patriots team at all, but
Mhm.
even if we had lost that game, it would've hurt.
Yeah. Because it
And
was
then
like, okay, we're there. Let's just finish the job now.
yeah, 1
We've
game
got this
away,
far.
whatever it
You've
is.
shown us that you guys have the ability to make that kind of run and kind of run the score up on teams.
Mhm.
There's no reason why you can't do it again.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing. But I feel bad feeling that way and kind of putting those expectations when this team barely made the playoffs.
Right. I think after, when it's all over, you kind of look back and you put it back into frame and you say,
Yeah.
all right, I'm happy for what we got.
Exactly. That's what a lot of Phillies fans are doing now. A lot of Phillies fans are turning the page. They're like, okay, we made the World Series. That we were blessed enough to see that. Me personally, I'm still kind of mourning over the loss.
Mhm.
I digest these kinds of things emotionally. I mean, it takes a hit. It's not just like, oh, the Phillies just lost the World Series.
Yeah.
It's okay. We have next year. No, like it's that deep to me. I shed a couple tears on Saturday night after they lost because my favorite player on that team is Reese Hoskins. He's been there for 6 years. He's one of the guys that made me have faith in this team's ability to hit the ball again. We had a really rough offense, and he was kind of the first real slugger. I could ramble about this all day. I'll hop on another podcast to do that. But long story short, very painful and sickening week for me last week. Asher, I'm sure you look fine. You
Yeah, I'm
look
all
like
right. I actually did end up tailgating that World Series game as well on Thursday night. So
yeah.
I mean that's even though they did end up losing that game, it's just the energy in the city is
Mm-hmm.
just incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of gonna miss that energy, but
For
hopefully they'll be
sure.
back in January. So
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
see. But moving on, so we're talking Eagles today. We don't really want to talk about the Texans game. That was one of those ugly wins, but it was just a win. Plus, my focus and I think Asher's focus is more shift on the World Series that night. So we're not really going to talk about that. But we got this upcoming Monday. We have the Commanders. That's not really a matchup I'm not really worried about. I'm not going to sit here and say that we're going to win, but I would be very surprised if we didn't, considering we're not even playing Carson Wentz, which
Yeah.
is
I mean, I think the drop off from a Wentz to a Heineke is not really something that's super that doesn't really change my outlook of the game at all. I mean, I really like Taylor Heineke. I love the way that he plays. I think he's got a lot of heart. I was saying when I was watching the Commanders game like 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
It was Heineke's first start back in, and I was like, this is the guy that has the heart of a Hall of Famer and the
Mhm.
mindset of a Hall of Famer put inside the body of a guy that should be working an office job.
Yeah, literally. Yep. Yeah. It's a bummer because that guy has heart. I like Taylor.
It's really fun to watch him play.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, isn't he? What was the football league that they made like 2 years ago and it got suspended because of COVID? He was literally a quarterback in that league.
There's been a few.
At the AAF, I think. Is that what?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's what it was, or XFL. Those were the two that went on during COVID.
I think the AAF was the first one. So I think that was the one that he was involved in.
Yeah. Anyway, I remember seeing a video and it was just like so funny because
But yeah,
it was the AAF because remember later that year in the playoffs, the Taylor Heineke almost led the Commanders to a win against the Bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
game, I still remember watching that game vividly. He had a dive into the
yeah.
end zone.
Pylon dive.
Yeah,
Yep.
it just did not seem like he was gonna get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, this Commanders game is going to be underwhelming. I think everybody looked at this game at the beginning of the season thinking, "Oh, Wentz is returning to Philadelphia this game." He's not even starting, which
Yeah.
is so depressing for Wentz, honestly. I feel bad for the guy a little bit, but not really. But it's like I don't know, I just look at this game now and kind of laugh because there were such high stakes preseason. And
Yeah.
now it's like nothing.
Yeah. You definitely didn't expect the Eagles to be coming into this game undefeated and the Commanders to just kind of be one of the NFL's bottom feeders.
I will say the Commanders aren't that bad. They are sitting at 4-5 right now, but still they don't
Right.
really
I
compare
mean,
to the Eagles.
there's a small margin of victory versus a bad Packers team. Just not very impressive wins for the Commanders this year. The record might not show it, but
Well, speaking of impressive wins, I do want to talk about kind of this narrative that's been going around about the Eagles. A lot of people are going through the Eagles schedule and looking at them. And obviously, they're 8-0, so everybody's looking at the 8-0 team, and nobody likes an 8-0 team.
right,
So,
a lot of scrutiny.
everybody wants to prey on their downfall, and
Mhm.
everybody wants them to just do horrible. So this team is getting a lot of comparisons to the 2020 Steelers
Sure.
in the aspect that they just haven't won that many games they haven't really been tested. So they're going to collapse towards the end of the year because their true identity isn't what they're showing right now.
Mhm.
So what are your opinions on that?
Yeah, I mean, you can draw comparisons to last year's Cardinals too. I think they were either 7-0 or 8-0 and ended up having like a classic Cardinals collapse towards the end of the season.
That's Cliff Kingsbury, though. That's not.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury classic
Yeah.
collapse. Exactly. But I mean that I just don't think there's that many quality teams to go around in the NFL this year as there are normally.
Yeah, that's what I agree. I agree.
We
I
also
don't
played
think
a
the
Vikings
NFC is
game.
that
The
strong.
Vikings' one loss is against us.
Yeah, that's what I say. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, here's my thing about that argument. Like, listen, the Eagles didn't make their own schedule. They get given a schedule, and their job is to win games. They're winning games, and here. I'm gonna let you talk because I need to gather my thoughts because
Sure.
this whole freaking argument about the strength of schedule is so irritating to me. I made a TikTok video about it. If any of you guys watched that, it's just infuriating. And let me just gather my thoughts after you just.
Sure.
What's your opinion?
Yeah. I mean, on one hand, yes, the Eagles didn't make their own schedule. They're going into the games and they're taking care of business so far.
Mhm.
There's the Vikings win. We beat them very handily. At this point, the only loss on their schedule, probably the second best team in the NFC. However, besides that Vikings game, it's been the Cowboys with Cooper Rush. There's been a lot of underwhelming teams, and teams that are going to have some top 10 picks. So I understand the tendency to want to look at a team like us and say, okay, they haven't been tested yet. Are they really as good as is this 8-0 team better than the 6-2 Bills, the 6-2 Chiefs, the 7-1 Vikings, all that stuff?
Well, here's my rebuttal. So listen, we're looking at the strength of schedule. So before the season, we looked at strength of schedule based on last year's record.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a new ranking out for strength of schedule based on everybody's current record right now.
Right.
The Eagles have had a tougher strength of schedule than the Buffalo Bills, and the Bills have 2 losses. The Bills just lost to the Jets. The Jets. Would anybody predict that? No. That means that anything can happen in this league. Any team can beat any other team. It doesn't really matter what the record is. The fact is that the Eagles are winning games right now. They're winning every single game. And on top of that, they're winning in multiple ways. They're winning you by running the ball. They're beating you by passing the ball. They're beating you with their defense and turnovers. The Eagles find ways to win, and that's how good teams function. They find ways to win no matter the opponent. Remember the Eagles' 2017 Super Bowl run? We beat the Giants, who wound up being like 3-13 or 4-12 that year. We had to beat them by kicking a 61-yard field goal.
Right.
But nobody looks at that game like now that the Eagles eventually won the Super Bowl, obviously. But nobody looked at that game and was like, "Oh, the Eagles are fraudulent because of that." No, they won the game, point blank. Period. Nobody cares about how you win the game. They care if you won or not. That's the thing, and
Right.
people don't seem to understand that. And it's so annoying. And on top of that, here's another point that the Eagles are the real deal. The Eagles are the only team in the NFL to lead every single game they played in by at least double digits, by double digits at least at one point. I know the Cooper Rush game got close at one point, but wasn't it a week prior to that game that Cowboys fans were like hailing down to Cooper Rush and saying that he should start over Dak Prescott because he's 5-0 as a starter and he's never thrown a like they were hyping him up, and then the Eagles beat him, and now the goalposts change. They change the goalpost and say, "Oh, Cooper Rush is just a backup." No, you gotta stay. You gotta stay. You can't change that just to say that the Eagles are frauds. The Eagles are not frauds if you had to change the goalposts for the argument. It's not. Sorry, it just irritates me. That argument is so stupid and exhausted. And like I don't get it. I don't know who do the Eagles have to beat. I mean, you look at the rest of their schedule. The only one tough game, maybe two. You have the Giants, right? 6-2 Giants twice, and then you have the Cowboys again.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody else in that schedule, and that's not the Eagles' fault. Their
Correct.
job is to go out and win games. That's all, and that's what they're doing. Point blank, period.
Yeah, and with us not having played the Giants as well, I'm okay with people saying like, oh, the Eagles' schedule is easy and they haven't proven themselves. I'm okay with people saying that until we play the Giants, because I feel like those are the two most interesting games on the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants have kind of been overachieving so far this year, doing a lot better than we thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to be a really interesting test for an Eagles team that on paper is so much more talented than them. So
Right.
are we able to go in and take care of business against like a hated division
Now,
that it's been playing with a lot of heart this season?
yeah. Yeah, no, the Giants are definitely a team of heart. They definitely, I mean, like credit goes to Brian DeBall. I
Mhm.
believed in him coming into this season. He's panned out a lot better than I thought they would. I thought the Giants would be flirting with 7 wins this season. They're 6-2 right now, so they're probably going to blow that number out of the water.
Right.
But yes, speaking of Brian DeBall, I do want to go back and look at the NFL awards. We're 9 weeks in the season, 10 weeks into the season.
This is week
Um,
10.
yeah, this will be week 10, so we're about halfway through the season. So we might as well reflect and kind of give our mid-season accolades. So I want to start off with Coach of the Year. I'm awarding this to Brian DeBall. A lot of people are debating between him and Robert Saleh, also New York coach from the Jets. I just like what Brian DeBall has done. He's kind of changed the culture. He's an offensive minded coach. He's kind of brought that offense alive a little bit. He's kind of rejuvenated Danny Jones's career. But I'm very pleased with what he's doing in New York, even though they are a division rival.
Yeah, no, very, very impressive way that he's turned them around. I'm giving this to Nick Sirianni for now.
Really?
Right
Okay.
now, it's the coach's job to not lose. He hasn't lost yet. I mean, he's been taking care of business better than any other coach in the NFL so
Mhm.
far this year. I think that's
Okay.
pretty dry
That
from
makes sense. And then I wanted to go to Defensive Player of the Year. I think we both probably agree on this one, but
yeah.
I'm putting Micah Parsons as my Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep. Same
Um,
here. That was my prediction for Defensive Player of the Year preseason. I think he should have won it last year. I think
mhm,
he's going to be, top 3 finish for the next 15 years. So
mhm.
get used to it.
Yeah. And then Offensive Player of the Year. There's not really much to say about Micah, but Offensive Player of the Year. I think this is a very, very interesting award, and maybe I'm biased, but I'm going to give this to AJ Brown.
Okay.
I think AJ Brown is having one of the most dominant seasons in the NFL right now as far as a receiver. He is among the highest graded receiver by PFF. I don't know if you guys care about PFF, but I do. But he's one of the highest, if not the highest graded receiver in the league right now. Obviously, you guys have been watching the games. He's just dominant, Can't be guarded. So I'm going to give that award to AJ Brown.
Yeah, that Steelers game definitely
Mhm.
showed what AJ Brown can be when he's playing at the highest level.
Mhm.
Just absolutely unstoppable, unguardable.
Mhm. I
I'm
mean,
giving
he's
it
on
to
pace for 1,500 yards right now. He has like 750 receiving yards right now.
best receiving season that we have seen in a long time.
I was
Probably
just bro.
Terrell Owens.
I was gonna say that. I was only 3 years old, so even
Yeah,
then, I don't really think I really saw that. I just was
right.
alive.
The best receiving season that we've witnessed, at least.
Yes,
Definitely.
yes. Your offense player of the year, Ash?
Yeah, well, you said AJ Brown may be the highest PFF grade receiver. He's actually not. I'll tell you who is. It's Tyreek Hill. I'm going with Tyreek Hill as my offensive player of the year. He
Okay,
leads the NFL in receiving yards by over 150 yards.
okay.
1,100 yards in 9 games is just absolutely insane.
Mhm.
Actually, have the Dolphins only played because they had their bye, right?
Yeah, they're 5-3, they're 5-3 right now.
Right.
They had
So
their bye
1,100
last week.
yards in 8 games is just absolutely insane. He's been everything the Dolphins could have wanted in that trade and more. I mean, I think Tua has done a great job this year, but I think also the dominance of Tyreek Hill has helped to quiet kind of everyone was
Yeah.
saying like, oh, Tua is not the guy that's going to be able to lead the Dolphins.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think Tyreek has helped to quiet that as much as Tua has.
Mhm. All right. Speaking of Tua, I'm gonna label him as my comeback player of the year. I think it's between him or Geno Smith.
Mhm.
Um, but just I think Tua needs credit for what he's been through, even this year. I mean, he's made kind of 2 comebacks. Last year, he had the narrative around him saying that he couldn't pass. He was not a great, and then he came this year, and so far as a starter, he's 5-0. So, he's kind of doubted, shut up all the doubters. Same can be said for Geno Smith, but right now, I'm really leaning Tua. And the funniest thing about Tua is that with the elections, this past week was election day. In the Florida results, I think 0.1% of the Florida population literally put down Tua.
Right,
For president.
right into
Yeah,
I
wrote
don't
into it. So They love him down there. They love him down there in Miami.
Yeah,
So
the narrative has completely flipped onto it for
mhm,
sure. I'm gonna go comeback player of the year. I'm going Gino. Just
mhm,
they wrote him off. He ain't right back though.
mhm.
That's all I
Yeah,
have to know.
yeah. I mean, for me, it's really a coin flip between him and Tua. Uh, Gino definitely has more of the story. I mean, he's been in the league since what 2013,
2013. Yeah.
right? 2013. He's kind of bounced around. When he was drafted by the Jets, kind of flopped there. Then he went to where was he? I don't even know. What was
He
he?
was in New York for a little bit because I remember he was the one that they sat Eli Manning for, so he wouldn't break
Yeah,
that consecutive starts record.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. So that makes sense. Gino's, yeah. Sorry, completely
I mean,
blanked out.
it definitely speaks to how his career has gone that we really can't think of where he's been in between getting drafted and where he
It's
is now.
I mean, he went from being like a nobody and being like, okay, this guy's career's over. He needs to just hang it up,
Mhm.
go be an insurance salesman or something like that. No, he came right back. I mean, we were looking at the Seahawks team this year, and I was looking at them. I was like, they might get 3 wins. They're sitting at 6-3 right now, or something, 5-4 at least.
Yeah. I mean, they're pushing for that division title over in the NFC West.
They are, yeah, which is something I would have never even fathomed going into the season.
Right.
That's something. Sorry, just got a text. Um, but yeah, so next award I wanted to go into was offensive and defensive rookie of the year. Offensive rookie of the year, I'm really puzzled. I don't really like who would you put as your offensive rookie of the year? Because I was gonna say Kenny Pickett, but he's like a turnover machine this year. You got George Pickens, but he's not seeing that much uh, action. So it's like
Personally, I would have to give it to either Kenneth Walker on the Seahawks or Damian Pierce on the Texans.
Damian Pierce. I forgot about that. Even though we literally just paid to play him like last
Yeah,
week.
he just
Damian
tore us
Pierce.
up statistically at least.
Yeah, I just couldn't think of any of the rookies because it's like I don't know. Was this rookie class just like weaker?
No, I think Chris Olave down in New Orleans has been doing pretty well. Garrett Wilson in New York.
Yeah,
It
I
definitely
just didn't
Brees
really know
Hall was
much.
running away with this award until he got hurt.
Mhm.
Kind of does suck for him because I mean I think he was pretty much a lock to win that.
Yeah, agreed. So I'm gonna have to. I guess I'll go Damian Pierce for offensive rookie of the year. As for yourself,
I'll take Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker.
I mean I might give it to Damian Pierce. I feel like voters are going to lean towards Kenneth Walker just because he's been doing it for a more productive team overall.
Mhm,
So that's kind of matter more.
mhm. That makes sense. And then defensive rookie of the year, I think this is a no-brainer. For me, at least, it's a no-brainer. I got Sauce Gardner winning it. He's becoming like the next Darrelle Revis for the Jets right now. I think he's
Yeah.
just dominant out there in New York. He's doing great. I'm really happy about that. But we will revisit all of these at the end of the season, see how they aged. So to go over it, we missed the most important one: MVP.
Yeah.
MVP. Who would you have as your MVP, Asher?
Right now, I'm going to have to give it to Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
I feel like maybe even just last week, Josh Allen would have had it in a very poor showing against the Jets. I mean, 2 picks that were really just kind of throwing it right to the guy on the other team.
Yeah, just ugly
And
interception.
Patrick Mahomes, I feel like he just uh, ever since he came like that first MVP season, he just doesn't make mistakes like that.
Hmm.
It doesn't seem like he's just crazy. He's leading the NFL in passing yards and passing touchdowns again. It's like clockwork over there in Kansas
Hmm.
City.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be the MVP of the league. However, there has to be a case to be made for Jalen Hurts. And I think that deserves a conversation. To go through his stats right now, he has 12 passing touchdowns, 6 rushing touchdowns, so that's 18 total touchdowns. He has 2 interceptions and 4 fumbles. I don't know how many fumbles he lost exactly, but he has 6 total turnovers at
Right.
max.
Possibly.
Uh, 63.1 QBR, which is six amongst all quarterbacks. He has a 107.8 passer rating and has a 68.2 completion percentage. Um, First of all, if you compare these stats to last year, his QBR last year was 87.8. Passer rating, I'm sorry, not QBR.
Right. Significant.
Passer rating was 87.8. He's jumped up 20 points,
Yeah.
which just goes to show. I mean, that's passer rating. We would never think that Jalen would really develop as a passer. Um, I mean, that was the biggest question coming in this year. Obviously, we're looking at these numbers. He's obviously really, really developed as a passer, but has he made a good enough case for MVP to this point in the season? If not, what more do you think he has to do to kind of jump over Patrick Mahomes?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I mean, I think he's probably with the Josh Allen injury, depending on how long it lasts, it's very, very possible he jumps himself into number 2 in the
Mhm,
rankings. I just I don't see again with how consistent Patrick Mahomes has been over the course of his career, I don't see him kind of loosening the hold on that number 1.
mhm,
So if anything, it's gonna have to be Jalen stepping up his game to another level.
mhm,
And I mean, the running game is he's one of the best running quarterbacks in the NFL. So what I would want to see is kind of more better decision making from him.
mhm.
We have seen better decision making, but I still
Mhm.
think a lot of times he just kind of reverts to throw the ball into double coverage against AJ Brown, which
Yeah, yeah,
works.
it works because it's AJ Brown, but
Right.
you have any other receiver there, that's a pick.
Yeah. So I think still kind of his reading of the defense could use some improvement.
Okay, and that's like being a little nitpicky because he is
Absolutely.
he is being an incredible quarterback. He's playing incredible football right now. But I just want to touch on that really because I think it's a really interesting thing. I would never thought that Jalen Hurts could be in the MVP conversation this year, maybe next year, maybe the following year, but this year is absolutely insane, and I definitely think there is a strong case for him.
Yeah.
But it's going to be hard to beat Patrick Mahomes, and that's the really big thing. Is this more of a is Jalen Hurts good enough, or is Patrick Mahomes just like too good? Like is Patrick Mahomes? Do you think he's just Patrick Mahomes is he just on another level that's like not reachable at this point? Like, do you think Jalen Hurts can really match that level?
At this point, I would think the only quarterback who can reach that level of play is Josh Allen.
Hmm.
So it depends on again, it depends on how long that injury lasts.
Hmm.
A lot. I mean, we all kind of expected the MVP to go to Josh Allen this year.
Hmm.
I think the one thing working in Jalen's favor is that Mahomes has already won an MVP. So
Hmm.
should it kind of get to neck and neck towards the end of the season, they may lean Jalen just for the story.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, especially, I mean, Jalen has a hell of a story from um, Alabama, everything that happened there, getting benched in the national championship, and you go into Oklahoma, and I mean, he's kind of dealt with doubters his entire career, which is it's just gonna be amazing if he can win the MVP this year. That's gonna be the ultimate like giving the bird to all the haters out there. So,
Yeah,
um,
I mean, after last season's loss to the Buccaneers, I remember there were talks: is Jalen even going to be the quarterback going into this year?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Because they were like, "Oh, well, we just got completely embarrassed in the wild card round. We look like, first of all, people were already doubting us going into the postseason, saying, oh, like our strength of schedule, we didn't beat a single winning team this year. All this jazz. Same thing that we're dealing with right now, kind of like the strength of schedule argument, which is why I'm so exhausted of it because I heard it at the end of last year when we made it to the playoffs and we were really supposed to. We were supposed to be a 3-win team last year, but no, we won 9 games. We made the playoffs, and now we're going through it all over again, even though we're 8-0. As you can tell, that argument really irritates me. So, on that note, we're going to close this thing out. We still have our hot takes and everything to go through.
Mhm.
Last week, obviously, I was sick, so I guess are we going to call it like a bye week as far as our takes go?
Yeah,
Uh,
that was our bye week.
I know you lost. I know you lost your written down piece of paper with your takes on it. So we will just pick up. It's still 50-27. Um, I did for week 8. I didn't do too well. I don't think any of my hot takes hit. I had the Jets beating the Patriots, 1 total touchdowns, and Panthers Falcons. I don't know if you remember that game, but that game was literally 37-34.
Yeah, yeah.
So that did not work at all. And then I took the Bears over the Cowboys because I just felt like believing in them. I don't even know
Yeah.
if that even happened. I don't think it did though, right?
No, I mean, Justin Fields did pretty well that game. I
Yeah,
think the Cowboys won 49-29, so they
yeah, that's what it
they
was because that was the same week that we blew out the Steelers.
right.
So anyway, I'm gonna start off with my lock. Actually, if you want to start off your lock as well, I have the Eagles over the Commanders. I
I
don't
have the
see the
same one.
Eagles losing. I don't see the Eagles losing against the Commanders.
Yeah.
Your straight picks?
I have the Titans beating the Broncos. I think that kind of with what we were talking about before and how the NFL I feel there's not as many good teams. I feel like the Titans still aren't getting the respect. I
Mhm.
mean, they've been overachieving this year. We all kind of expect them to be mediocre.
Mhm.
They're leading the AFC South very handily.
Uh-huh.
I think they're kind of a tier above what most people would put them at right now.
Yeah, no, honestly, the Titans have kind of surprised me. I mean, I was looking at the NFL standings and everything, and I was like, the Titans are 5-3.
Exactly, yeah.
It's kind of like one of those things where it's like, wait a minute, like I didn't think they were gonna be that good,
hmm
but I
And this
mean,
this is the team that was the number one seed in the AFC last year.
yeah, and like that's the stranger things because beginning of the season I was like, all right, they weren't real number ones last year, but maybe I'm being proven wrong. Maybe they're actually kind of a decent team, without an AJ Brown, which they seem to be keeping the boat afloat. So
Yeah.
credit to them. So my straight picks, I had Falcons over Panthers,
Okay.
and then I have
Yeah, tonight.
this could be a hot take, but I feel confident enough in this to put this as a straight pick. I have Cardinals beating the 49ers.
Whoa. All right. Yeah,
Yes.
that's definitely hot take
The
territory.
Cardinals like to stir the pot in the NFC West. It feels like they kind of like the Rocket in LA. Yeah, why not do the same thing against San Francisco? The NFC West is always very, very interesting. I don't know if the Cardinals have played the Niners yet this year. I don't think they have,
I don't believe so either.
but um, why the hell not? I mean, it's a divisional matchup. Anything can happen. Cardinals haven't looked great this year, but for the hell of it, take them over the Niners. I mean, I just have a feeling the Cardinals they just do that sometimes. They just like to rock the boat. They like to split a lot in the NFC West. So
Yeah, I think the Cardinals definitely are more talented on paper than they have shown.
mhm.
So there's definitely a lot of variability in how they can perform. And the Niners, I think they're still kind of looking for their identity when Jimmy G is the quarterback now because
Yeah,
they're so confident in Trey Lance going into the year. And now it's
yeah.
kind of flipped
Well,
on.
keep in mind they also have Christian McCaffrey now. So
That's true.
Christian McCaffrey had the ultimate. I mean, I guess if you could possibly have a cycle in football,
Right. Triple Crown.
he achieved a triple crown. Yeah. So he achieved that. So I think the 49ers are still going to be kind of adjusting, trying to figure out their offense with Christian McCaffrey in it. Obviously, now other teams have the film to defend it. So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens. But, I just feel like the Cardinals are going to go into San Francisco and kind of upset them. As far as your hot takes, Asher, do you want to start off? What's your
Yeah.
first hot take?
Let me throw my other straight pick in there real quick. It's kind of
Oh,
boring.
you're starting strict. I'm sorry, man.
You're good. But the Giants spread seems to be somewhere around negative or -5.5, -4.5
Sorry.
against the Texans. You're good.
Your boss is so obnoxious.
I feel like anything less than a touchdown spread for the Giants against the worst team in the NFL is just too low. So I know we haven't done spread picks yet, but
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna take the Giants spread as my straight pick because I just feel like that's easy money.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense. I actually did a whole pick 'em this week, so I'm excited. I could win like literally. How many people am I doing with? It's $10 per
Mm-hmm.
person. I think I'm in a pool with like 20 people, and if I do the best, I win. What's 10 times 20? 200?
2000.
No, 2,000. 10
Wait,
times 20.
no, 200. You're right.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah, I'm adding zeros on there.
It's all good.
You took Giants. You took Giants spread there.
I did take Giant
All right,
spread.
cool.
I did
All right,
take
just
Giant
making sure.
I don't. I think it was ridiculous. Some of the spreads on that pick'em was ridiculous. Like Minnesota, I'll touch on that in a little bit. But Minnesota is a 9.5 point underdog against Buffalo. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I think a lot of cause I was just looking on like FanDuel and DraftKings earlier today. I
Mhm.
think a lot of that has adjusted for the fact that Josh Allen isn't in it anymore. I think
Yeah,
Buffalo is now like a 3-point favorite,
yeah,
which seems more fair to me.
yeah, exactly. But I'm still going to take the Vikings over the Bills. That's one of my hot takes this week.
Okay.
I think the Vikings beat the Bills. The Bills lose the second consecutive game. What can you expect if Josh Allen doesn't play? You know,
Right.
who would even be starting in for Josh Allen? Do you know?
I think they have Case Keenum. I
No way. They have Case.
one of the fun things about that matchup is it's gonna be Case Keenum and Stephon Diggs again, except they're gonna be on not the Vikings.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No way. That's
Yeah,
so
so
cool.
that's a fun matchup.
That's fun. But
Sure.
anyway, your hot take.
I've got the Seahawks hanging 30 on Tampa Bay.
Uh We agree.
You have that?
We agree. I don't have that exactly, but I have Seattle beating the Bucks by at least 14 points.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Similar to me.
I like the Seahawks. I think everybody they're just a story that I love. I love that. I love their story. They're impressive.
Yeah.
They're impressing me. And also Tom Brady preying on his downfall a little bit here.
Sure.
But, you know.
And the Bucks, one thing that I was looking at, you want to talk about poor strength of schedule? They've played the Chiefs and they played the Ravens. Outside of that, they really haven't played any impressive offenses at all. And the Chiefs and the Ravens scored 27, and the Chiefs, we watched them score 41 on that Tampa Bay defense on Sunday Night Football. So I think the Bucks defense is a lot more vulnerable than most people think it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
The Bucks offense has been really good.
Absolutely. But go Seattle. I got Seattle in that game. My last one is at the chart. Wait.
Just skip one.
Wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. Did I screw up like massively? Like, am I embarrassing?
What?
Do the Cardinals don't even play the Niners this week, I swear. Because I also have in my hot takes.
Oh, the Chargers play the Niners. You're right. The Cardinals are playing. Shit, who are the Cardinals are playing the Raiders?
How did I have that?
Uh-oh.
What? Why did I put Cardinals over 9? Okay. Anyway, I got the
Cardinals
Niners
playing the Rams. Cardinals are playing the Rams.
Okay, that makes sense.
It is an NFC West.
Play divisional. Okay. All right. That makes more sense that I put that in my straight pick than I have them being the Rams. Okay. So to straighten it out, I had the Cardinals being the Rams. I'm just an idiot, and I put down Niners. But I do have the Chargers being the Niners. The Chargers are one of the most volatile teams in the league as far as their offense. Sometimes they come out and they shit the bed. Other times they go out and they look like one of the best offenses in the league. And I think this is a week where they just kind of catch lightning in a bottle and they look good out there. And the Niners,
Yeah. I mean, same argument we just made for the Cardinals being the Niners, I guess.
It's pretty much the same thing. I mean, like it's the same thing. But Asher, you have one more hot take, I believe,
I have
right?
2 more. They're both statistically based, so I'm just gonna kind of hang them together. I've got Najee Harris getting 100 yards from scrimmage.
Okay.
That hasn't happened yet this year. He just has not looked like the same player he was last year. I mean, I think he's too talented of a player to be held down all season. That Steelers offense is just not great at all. But some game he's got to have at least one good game. So I'm gonna say it's this week for really no reason in particular.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have Dak Prescott. I think he's gonna lead the league in passing yards this week.
Huh. Who do the Cowboys have this week?
The Cowboys are playing the Packers in Green Bay.
Okay.
The Packers defense is solid, but the Cowboys have kind of been easing Dak in so far. I think he hasn't thrown 30 pass attempts yet since coming back from that injury. And I think this week they might need him to be throwing more. And we've seen how explosive that Cowboys offense can be. They just scored 49 points on the Bears, and I think he threw like 25 pass attempts.
Right.
So I think the yardage can stack up easily for that Cowboys offense.
They also have that two-headed monster in the backfield. So I think part of the reason why he hasn't had as much volume as far as throwing is because he has two pretty good backs in the backfield. He's Zeke and Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
So
Zeke is also a good receiver coming back this week. Pollard's more of a runner, and the backfield was kind of all his.
Right.
So I think they do drop Dak back a few more times this week.
All right, good stuff. So I have Tony Pollard on my fantasy team. So do you think I should start him or?
It depends on what your other options are.
No, I have a good enough lineup for this week. I start Juju for my flex. I have Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah.
And anybody in that Chiefs offense, I will gladly keep in my lineup. So we'll see. But as the score stands right now, as far as the picks for all this year, I'm reminded that 3 picks for every hot take, 2 picks for every straight pick, and 1 point for
3 points, 2 points, 1 point.
3 points, 2 points, 1 point. It's been a long day. But as the score stands right now, it's 50 for me and Asher 27.
Yeah, so
because he likes to believe in the Patriots so much.
I didn't pick the Patriots this week.
How many points do you think you've lost on the Patriots this year? At least 8, right?
Yes, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
But they've also kind of turned it on as of late, so I haven't completely given up hope.
I'm surprised you didn't have them in any of your picks this week,
They
honestly.
don't play.
Oh, that makes sense.
As much as I would have loved to.
That makes sense.
Patriots versus bye week.
Yeah, they're gonna win this week. No, wait, you got to say they're not gonna lose, and then you got it.
That's my lock.
That's your lock. Is the Patriots don't lose this week. Anyway, that'll wrap it up for this episode. It's so funny because every single time we go to record, we're always like 25 minutes. And I literally told you, I was like, we're going to be pushing on 40. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Here we are, 40 minutes into the episode.
Remember, we're consistent with the 40 minutes, though.
We've been pretty consistent. So I hope you guys are enjoying the length. Hope you guys are hanging around for the entire time. But thank you. We also have merchandise out for all Pick Swap Media. You can pick up 2 and 5 Scoop merch. Any of the other podcasts, it's all personalized for each podcast. I believe the link will be in the description below. Make sure you click subscribe, the notification bell, follow us on our social media listed right below our faces. And once again, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
See you guys. Go Birds.
Go Birds.